Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, my review and impressions of the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak SUV. In Japan, robots do the dirty work. And algae, Exxon, and biofuels. To join the conversation, be it to ask a question, share an opinion, or even suggest a topic for future discussion, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number, 872-222-9793. Or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, I'm picking on Tesla, but it seems like Tesla, in this story, has managed to do something that I would have considered impossible. So let me read it. This is from the trades. This is talking about Tesla's semi-truck, not the Cybertruck. No. Not that mistake. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the semi-truck, the big one, the Class 8 big one. And here's the title. Here's the headline. Tesla finally has its first semi-truck, and it's already a hit with truckers. Let that sink in. These are fleet operators that have been running diesel trucks forever. To go to an electric truck, anybody's, means training, parts, different service intervals, a whole way of different doing things, making sure that if you're going to run these trucks, you have the infrastructure to charge these trucks. Let me read that headline again. Tesla finally has its first semi-truck, and it's already a hit with truckers. Let me get into this. Innovations include a center driving position, fast charging, and a 500-mile range. A 500-mile range. This was before, really, everything that's happened relative to diesel prices, but if anything, it makes this more attractive. But I need to tell you, Tesla is not the only truck maker building an over-the-road Class 8 electric EV. Volvo is doing it, and there's at least one other company that's doing it, that has product in the marketplace right now. Tesla plans to begin shipping mass-produced semis this summer from its Nevada Gigafactory after years of delays, and they're still sticking with it. This story opens with an example of a driver who first drove one, took a wrong turn outside of Sparks, Nevada, and got stuck on a bend that was too tight for his 40-foot trailer. Here's the kicker. Normally, he would reverse out of jam by getting out of the truck several times to check his position in the road, but the truck driver was seated in the center of the cab, eliminating the right side blind spot, and he was flanked by screens showing every object around his tractor trailer. Backed right out of there, no problem, he said. It's like I'd never done it in the first place. That right there showed me that the technology Tesla has makes a big difference. The company is expected to deliver between 5,000 and 15,000 semis this year before ramping up to 50,000 trucks a year. That's a lot of Class 8 trucks. 50,000? That's a lot. Surprisingly, Tesla's winning over a hard-to-please and influential group, truckers. Truckers who drove it in pilot tests said they loved the features, including a center driving position, faster charging, and a longer range, for about $100,000 less than other battery electric trucks. Price is part of it. Trust me, right now, diesel fuel is another part. And if you don't have an appreciation, let me give you some context. A Class 8 truck, the big rigs that you see on the road, hauling everything. The cost right now is around, give or take, $5 a gallon of diesel fuel. The average diesel Class 8 heavy truck gets 5 to 7 miles per gallon. 5 to 7. miles per gallon. And they're driving hundreds of miles. It's not hard to do the math real quick. That means to do 100 miles, 100, and you're getting 5 miles to the gallon, that's 20 gallons of diesel fuel to drive 100 miles. Let that sink in for a minute. Then multiply that times $5 a gallon. Basically, that just costs you $1 a mile. Just in fuel, not truck maintenance, not driver, nothing, just the fuel today. And it's $100,000 less than any other battery electric on the market right now. This one truck driver who works for Height Logistics in Long Beach, California, recently swapped out a 13-gear diesel truck for a semi, which is automatic, for a 1-month pilot test. He said, it's just easier on your body, he said. It's less stressful because you're not really having to engage the clutch and the stick shift. Tesla says that the semi can charge 4 times faster than any other battery electric truck, reaching 60% charge in 30 minutes. Bear in mind, Tesla was the first one to build nationwide a network of superchargers, which were high-powered, fast-charging chargers all across the United States. This other company, Kingflow Trucking in Long Beach, they are eventually swapping out their 27 diesel trucks to create an all-electric fleet with Teslas. They already own 11 battery electrics from Volvo and Nikola, but the company limits those trucks to shorter trips to and from local ports because they only have a range of 225 miles. The Tesla has double the range. You seen a pattern here? The trucks cost less, have double the range, take 30 minutes to get most of the charge, which means you go in and have a sandwich, use the restroom, take a breath, you're ready to go. Not hours, not even an hour. Think about that. Kingflow, they got 20 Tesla semis on order, 20. This after waiting, really waiting about 10 years from when Tesla said they were going to have them to having them now. A prolonged freight downturn, rising labor costs, and trade uncertainty caused by tariffs have prompted truckers to delay buying new vehicles. Those 3 things you would think would make them less likely to invest in a battery electric truck that costs 3 times more than diesel rigs, takes hours to charge, and can travel only about 200 miles. However, remember what I said. Tesla costs $100,000 less, gets double the mileage, and takes half an hour to get 60% charge, ready to go. In California, you can get a grant if you're a trucker to help offset the cost. That changes the math, makes it more likely. Add in the fact the uncertainty about diesel supplies, that also changes the math. With a sharp pencil, these look better and better. Now, I need to correct something for me to you. I had said, and I still kind of believe it, battery electric trucks for over-the-road, long-distance trucking, I still don't think is the way. There may be a niche for the Tesla Semi, but unless you have a very comprehensive network nationwide that is fast charging like that and supportive, I just don't see that happening. And bear in mind, these folks are running Southern California, Arizona, Texas. Weather's warm. Weather's stable somewhat, predictable. You're not in the Midwest. You're not in the upper Midwest. You're not in the Northeast. So I think there's a place for these, but I don't think they're going to quite cut it in their current configuration to make this happen. I just don't. But it's good to know, even in spite of this current environment we're in, that truckers are still choosing electrics. They are choosing them with their dollars because they've penciled it out. It makes economic sense. This one breaks all the rules. The muscle car disguised as a midsize SUV. The Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
There's more than one of these dilapidated racetracks in America today. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Not when you look at the kind of cars people are making, the kind people are buying. Performance, evidently, is no longer a priority. Cue the sad music. Cue the windswept leaves. Cue the wind-torn, checkered flag. Wait, do you hear that? That sounds like performance returning to the stage. That is a Dodge Durango. Maybe the only SUV that hasn't forgotten that the S stands for sport. And that is the proof that while many may have abandoned the sacred institution of performance, power, handling, agility, and fun, we have not. American performance, consider yourself redeemed.
The Brotherhood of Muscle. That commercial was from 2012 in the Dodge Durango. And we're going to get to that in a minute when that's third generation, started the third generation. But before I do that, I need to take you back. It was 1998, and America was just starting to turn up the heat on the fledgling SUV segment. Dodge had an idea to develop a midsize SUV based on its popular midsize Dakota truck platform. It was designed to be rugged, underpinned with a body-on-frame construction that guaranteed that the new SUV could take whatever its owners could dish out. In true Chrysler fashion, the original Durango shared a front end, instrument panel, and front seats with its Dakota sibling. The first-generation Durango also borrowed its taillights and liftgate handle from the automaker's minivan family. In the industry, this is called parts bin engineering. You pick what you can get that's already in production. The Durango was first built at the automaker's Newark, Delaware assembly plant. Fun fact, I toured that plant back in the 1980s when it was building K-cars. From 2007 to 2009, the Durango was also available as a lightly revised Chrysler Aspen SUV. And if you didn't remember that, you're forgiven because they only made it for 3 years, and they only made 70,000 units total. You would be hard-pressed to find one. The automaker was having some tough times during the recession of 2006 to 2008, having changed ownership several times, in fact, during the period and ending up with Fiat. The Durango would go on a hiatus for several model years, returning as a more bulked-up, bold version for its third generation that was introduced to motorists for the 2011 model year. Starting with this generation, the Durango also moved from body-on-frame underpinnings to a unibody. Assembly moved from the now-closed Newark plant to Jefferson North in Detroit. Referred to internally at the company as the Chrysler WK2 platform, the Durango now shares the platform with the Jeep Grand Cherokee, also manufactured at the same facility. Despite a slightly longer wheelbase than the Grand Cherokee, the Durango is manufactured actually on the same assembly line and shares running gear, powertrains, and chassis parts with the Grand Cherokee as well. And for those that care, yes, the Durango offers 3-row seating. In 2018, Dodge introduced the Durango SRT, bringing high-performance muscle car DNA to a 3-row SUV. Equipped with a 475-horsepower, 6.4-liter Hemi V8, solidifying Durango's image as a Charger-inspired SUV, it now culminates in the 710-horsepower Durango SRT Hellcat. But Durango wasn't done yet. But this year, 2026, they add the SRT Hellcat Jailbreak model. The new Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak option ignores traditional ordering restrictions, providing more than 6 million potential customization combinations. And that goes directly in the face of what automakers have been trying to do for the last 40 years. Following in the footsteps of the Dodge Challenger and Charger SRT Jailbreak program, the Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak lets customers go wild with customization. 6 different wheel options, fitted with a choice of 4 unique Brembo brake colors, 6 exterior color options, including a new for 2026 green machine, 6 exterior badge color choices, 5 exterior dual pipe designs, can you imagine this, and an all-new gloss black painted hood, 5 interior seat colors in 3 different configurations, 5, 6, or 7 passenger seating, and it can be paired with a selection of 4 seatbelt covers. Enough choice for you yet? Power sunroof, premium audio, driver safety tech, trailer tow, and more can be added to any buildable combination. Interior receives exclusive Jailbreak IP badge stamped into the standard carbon fiber applique. Let me break this down. These customization options build on the Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak's fearsome foundation. And today, that is a 6.4-liter supercharged gasoline Hemi V8 prime mover that makes 710 horsepower and has 645 pounds of torque. Energy is communicated to all 4 wheels via an 8 HP 95 AP. Sorry, let me do that again. AHP 95 8-speed torque flight automatic transmission with overdrive, manual shift mode, and shift paddles. An MP 3010 single-speed transfer case with electronic proportioning performs the torque management duties between the axles. The torque split between the front and rear wheels is dependent on the drive mode chosen: automatic, snow, tow, sport, and track, from 30 front, 70 rear to 50 front, 50 rear. Fuel economy is 12 city, 17 highway. With its almost 25-gallon gasoline tank, range is 295 to 412 miles. Cargo capacity with the second and third row of seats folded is 85.1 cubic feet. Payload capacity is 1,590 pounds. Towing capacity is 8,700 pounds. Here's what I liked about it. Make no mistake, this bruiser has a big, brawny, masculine, and aggressive exterior presence. And despite its heft, it is super responsive and very easy to drive from around town to across the country. Front row seating is comfortable, and both power seats fully recline. Displays, control, and switchgear are easy to read and use. And heads up, if keeping your driver's license is a priority to you, pass this one by. It is so easy to drive. Very, very, very fast. It's not often that an SUV comes equipped with Z-rated tires. Speed is effortless for this vehicle. Perhaps why they call it Jailbreak? In any case, in the spirit of the model name, I do believe Bonnie and Clyde would have gladly given up their Ford Flathead V8 for this one if it was available at the time. And unlike other midsize SUVs who attempt to offer the farce of 3-row seating, Durango gives you the option. If you decide against equipping it with a third row, the SUV rewards you with an additional underfloor cargo space, which in my estimation is a better choice. And to add this tidbit, Durango engineers showed some thought and consideration by developing a chassis that can support run-flat tires. Look for RFT on the tires. Thank you. Let me get to it. This is what I didn't like. All this goodness and no head-up display. Hand grips would have been nice. And since this SUV offers an elevated view of the road, you got to climb up into it. And while I like the fact that the SUV is equipped with speed-rated run-flat tires, I'm disappointed with the tread design. I don't think this large, low-profile tires are up to support the capabilities of the SRT Jailbreak. So sad. The manufacturer's suggested retail price for the 2026 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak SUV starts from $80,990. Destination charges add $1,995. This is fun. In Japan, robots do the jobs and nobody wants. This is the Tech Mobility Show.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. In Japan, physical AI is emerging as one of the next major industrial battlegrounds, with necessary driving fast adoption more than anything else. An aging population, shrinking workforce, and the constant pressure to maintain productivity, companies are increasingly deploying AI-powered robots across factories, warehouses, and critical infrastructure. This is Topic B. What happens when you have a population in a country that is falling? People are getting older and aging out of the workforce. The overall population of Japan continues to fall as it gets older. Yet, in order for the country to function, it still has to make things. It still has to deliver goods and services. This needs to happen. But what happens when you don't have the people to do it? What do you do? According to Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry, it said this last month that it aims to build a domestic physical AI sector and capture up to 30% share of global market by 2040. The country already holds a strong position in the industrial robotics, with Japanese manufacturers accounting for 70% of the global market in 2022. Japan is going to physical AI. Now, let me back up for a minute because I didn't explain what physical AI is. Physical AI is the mating of a robot to AI capability, literally bringing the two together and leveraging the benefits. Or said differently, it is AI-infused robots, if you want to go that far. Japan has no choice. And honestly, the world kind of is in the same boat, really, because population isn't growing, and it's not growing in the United States either. Population's getting older. The workforce age folks are shrinking, and people are living longer. But the problem is they're not in the workforce anymore. So Japan is caught in this squeeze. Several factors are driving adoption in Japan, including cultural acceptance of robotics, labor shortages driven by demographic pressures, and deep industrial strength in mechatronics and hardware supply chains. And that's really cute, because really, if you distill all that, it gets down to one big driver. Labor shortages are the primary driver. Let me give you some context. Japan's demographic crunch is accelerating. The population declined for a 14th straight year in 2024. It means that the population has been falling in Japan since 2010. Those of working age make up just 59.6% of the total, and that is a share projected to shrink by another 15 million people over the next 20 years. That is a net reduction. Yes, people are probably still being born in Japan, but not enough to replace the people who are leaving the workforce, which means the workforce, regardless, is going to shrink by at least 15 million in a country that small. It's already reshaping how companies operate. In a 2024 Reuters Nikkei survey found labor shortages are the main force pushing Japanese firms to adopt AI. Think about this. Japan is going to turn a weakness into a strength because they have no choice. Once they master physical AI, don't you think for 1 minute they won't be looking to export that knowledge and implement it as far away as it can? In Japan, it's survival. In the United States and other countries, it will be cost cutting. What does that even mean? Does it mean in some industries that you may not have any human workers at all? What does it mean if they can perfect like healthcare, particularly geriatric care, where you need an assistant in the home? And it's the hardest jobs to get. They don't pay all that well. And the turnover is ridiculous. Yet, with the number of boomers hitting those ages, and I think the number I heard at one time is every day, 10,000 people turn 65. Every day. Every single day. At the end of the year, that could be 3.65 million a year. They all have needs. Some of us are healthier than others. Those of us less healthy will need home health care, will need assistance. But right now, we're in a convoluted society where you can't get that help. You can't attract folks for very labor-intensive help because it doesn't pay that well. Robots very well will probably step into that breach, not because they're pushing people out, but it's because it's a job people don't want to do or can't afford to do. And they'll be able to do it. In Japan, the driver shifted from simple efficiency to industrial survival. They don't have a choice. Japan faces a physical supply constraint where essential services cannot be sustained due to a lack of labor, pure and simple. That really strips away everything in Japan. Remember what I said earlier. Japan's population has been falling for 14 years. That's net reduction. Births, less deaths, and it was shrinking. 14 years. The United States hasn't been at parity with replacement since 1970. You see where this is going? People fear technology, and certainly there's a lot to be concerned about. But right now, conditions on the ground are forcing adoption at a rate faster than maybe we're ready for it. Just like the pandemic did, change things, some things permanently, some things we're still working out 5 years after the pandemic. And stuff isn't settled yet. Japan is at an inflection point. They can take the knowledge that they have and combine it with the latest technologies to remain relevant on the world stage, to be able to provide goods and services to their aging population within country, and to do it in a way that makes economic sense. But it does lead to other questions, though. If the workforce is falling, and Japan has some sort of retirement scheme like the United States does, Social Security, then what happens if it's no longer funded because the workforce is shrinking and the retirement group is growing and those that are retired are living longer? These are the numbers. This is the combination the United States is facing right now. The baby boomers was the largest group in the last 100 years. Z, X, millennials, all smaller. So you start there. And they're having fewer kids. So you've got a shrinking situation brewing in the United States. It hasn't gotten to this point yet. But it leads to the question, who's going to be around to pay into the system? Will they be taxing robots like they do individuals for Social Security right now? Is that where this is going to have to go? And if so, who's going to pay that? This solves half of Japan's problem, but it doesn't solve everything. They still have some social costs involved that they're going to have to grapple with that I don't think physical AI is going to solve for them. It may keep their economy afloat, but at what price? And how do you take care of the aging population that can no longer take care of itself? And how are you going to make sure that they don't end up in the street and in poverty? Oil company giant Exxon has been working on algae-based fuels for years. Why talk about it now? We are the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. Since 2009, the oil giant ExxonMobil has been working on developing algae-based fuels, starting with a major partnership with Synthetic Genomics. By the time the program was wound down in 2023, the company had invested roughly $300 million to the development of algae-based biofuels for commercial use. And despite a breakthrough in 2017, the company changed its priorities to other low-carbon technology. What happened? This is Topic C. If you've been watching TV, the internet, whatever, you probably remember Exxon's commercials. They ran them for about 10 years, and they talked about the importance of algae-based fuels and how it's going to change things. And sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Imagine an inexhaustible resource that can generate, produce the oil from which fuels to operate gasoline-powered and diesel-powered vehicles could be produced. Better for the planet, better for the air, better for everybody, except for one small problem. In the middle of this, about 2020, scientists in the project was telling Exxon management that the yields and the performance expectations that they had for algae weren't measuring up. They could not get this stuff to grow and produce and generate the level of oil necessary to make the project viable. Now, this happens in companies all the time. They do projects, they do basic research, they test stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This was a case where it wasn't working out. However, for reasons I don't totally understand, 1 week after the scientists in the project told Exxon, hey, this ain't working out, 6 years ago, Exxon told its investors a week later that algae could become a more prolific source of biofuel in the near term than agricultural products such as sugar cane and palm oil. The scientists that heard that said, that's not what we said. So why would Exxon do that? Let me take you back. A little while ago, we had this big push, getting green, being green. And Exxon was one of the first companies about 15 years ago to admit that fossil fuels were contributing to greenhouse gases and climate change. They said that publicly. So did Royal Dutch Shell and BP also said it. Back then, they were looking at ways to diversify away. I mean, you've got all this infrastructure, billions of dollars invested. Obviously, you needed to pivot. They felt they needed to pivot. They thought that algae-based fuels would be it. And I remember the commercials showing rows and rows of algae and, playing with the little beakers and everything. And, oh, my God, this is going to be so cool. But it wasn't. Wall Street Journal did an analysis, and it showed that some of the Exxon executives knew that the $500 million algae research project wasn't meeting its goals outside the lab, even as they continued to promote it to investors as a potential boon. Now, bear in mind, this is before the current environment. Why would they do that? Not that big oil has a untarnished reputation for telling the truth. But boy, that smacks of it. There is a term that is used when a company uses something on the surface to make it look like they're doing something more than they were. The polite term back in the day when you were trying to do just enough to claim that you were doing it but weren't doing it, it's called window dressing. If you're doing certain things to make it look like you cared about the environment, ecology, sustainability, climate change, they called it greenwashing. In other words, do just enough where you could brag to the world that, oh, we're at the forefront, we're all about this, we believe in it, when you don't. Exxon knew that their program wasn't measuring up. Yet they spent $150 million in advertising of its algae program over 10 years, one of its biggest public relations campaigns at that time. They ran ads, television commercials, touting the potential to produce a biofuel from algae that could one day fuel trucks, buses, boats, cars, even airplanes. They said that. They started airing these commercials in 2017, and they said then that within 8 years, by 2025, last year, ExxonMobil is aiming to have the technical ability to produce over 10,000 barrels of algae-based biofuel per day. Now, that sounds like a lot, but even in the oil industry, that's a drop in the bucket, really. Pardon the pun, but it really is, because that ain't much when you're dealing in hundreds of millions of barrels of oil a day. 10,000 a day, drop in a bucket. But still, the problem is their project wasn't penciling out, that their advancements didn't work. And that's a problem. They even said, well, let me back up. They knew, Exxon scientists knew by 2020, 3 years, they were concerned about the viability of the program because they were struggling to replicate promising lab results in outdoor ponds where algae was supposed to mature. Or exposed to nature, Even the best strains that they had, wind grown in large outdoor ponds, that's the magic, were producing oil at roughly 6% of Exxon's stated goal. 6%. They further concluded that even if Genesis even if the scientists were able to speed oil production, it would be uneconomical. To produce 10,000 barrels of algae-based biofuel a day, they estimated Exxon would need to build 35 square miles of ponds, an area 6 times the size of downtown Los Angeles, and would have to process more salt water than the entire city consumes in fresh water every day. Needless to say, those numbers won't work. And then they finally said, oh, and by the way, that'll cost you $9.4 billion. Nowhere close to what you would get selling the fuel. Why would Exxon still brag on this, knowing it wasn't going nowhere? Wishful thinking? Yeah, questionable. Obviously, in today's world, they've kind of shelved that and actually put off other projects. They were going to commit $600 million to all of this. I'm sorry, $1 billion. And they canceled it. They had a $7 billion plant they were going to build. Didn't happen. And they're going to other things that are low carbon and, read, low risk. But you got to ask yourself, why promote something when you know it's not delivering?
This is the Tech Mobility Podcast.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.